You're not living your life. You're living someone else's expectations. Every decision you make, every word you speak, every mask you wear, it's all designed for an audience that doesn't even notice. The fear of being disliked is controlling your entire existence, and you don't even see it. There's an ancient Japanese philosophy, rooted in the work of Austrian psychologist Alfred Adler, that exposes the invisible chains you've wrapped around yourself. Freedom from approval. What if I told you that almost every problem in your relationships, every anxiety about your future, every moment of self-doubt, it all comes from one simple mistake? A mistake this philosophy corrects with surgical precision. The book that changed everything is called The Courage to be Disliked, and what it reveals might finally set you free. The invisible prison. Before we can understand freedom, we must first see the cage. And the cage is this. You have spent your entire life trying to control what other people think of you. Think about it. When you chose your clothes this morning, who were you dressing for? When you held back that opinion in a meeting, whose reaction were you afraid of? When you said yes to something you wanted to say no to, whose approval were you seeking? All problems are interpersonal relationship problems. This is the foundation of Adlerian psychology. Every insecurity, every anxiety, every limitation you feel, trace it back far enough, and you'll find another person's judgment waiting there. The fear of being disliked isn't just an emotion. It's an operating system. It runs in the background of your mind, filtering every choice through one question. What will they think? And that question is destroying you. You've become so skilled at reading other people's expectations that you've forgotten how to read your own desires. But here's the truth that changes everything. Separation of tasks. The Japanese philosophy reveals a concept so simple it feels almost too easy. Yet it cuts through decades of suffering in a single stroke. It's called separation of tasks. The principle is this. In any situation, ask yourself, whose task is this? Your task is what you do. Their task is how they respond. Your task, their task. When you write a book, writing it is your task. Whether someone reads it, likes it, or criticizes it, that's their task. When you express your authentic opinion, speaking your truth is your task. Whether others agree, get offended, or applaud, that's their task. When you live according to your values, living authentically is your task. Whether your parents approve, your friends understand, or society accepts, that's their task. You cannot control how others receive you. If this ancient wisdom is resonating deep in your bones, hit like and subscribe to unlock more philosophy that transforms, because what comes next will fundamentally change how you see every relationship in your life. The moment you try to control someone else's task. The entanglement trap. When you step into someone else's territory, Adler has a word for it. Entanglement. And entanglement is the source of almost all interpersonal suffering. Watch how it works. Your mother worries about your career choices. Her worry is her task. It's her emotional response to your life. But if you change your career to stop her worrying, you've entangled. You've taken responsibility for her emotions. Now multiply this by every relationship you have. Your partner's insecurities, your boss's moods, your friend's expectations, your children's disappointments. Entangled. You're carrying the emotional weight of tasks that were never yours to carry. And here's the cruel irony. The more you try to control others' perceptions, the more control you lose over yourself. You think you're connecting. You think you're being a good person, a good partner, a good child. But you're not connecting, you're controlling. Or worse, you're being controlled. True connection happens only when two free people choose to meet, not when one person sacrifices their freedom to manage another's feelings. The courage to be free. So why don't we simply separate tasks and live freely? Because it requires something most people lack. Courage. Courage to be disliked. Not the courage to fight. Not the courage to endure. The courage to be disliked. This is the title of the book for a reason. Freedom and being disliked are inseparable. The moment you decide to live by your own values, some people will disapprove. The moment you set a boundary, some people will call you selfish. The moment you say no, some people will feel abandoned. And you have to be okay with that. Being disliked by someone is proof that you are living freely. Most people would rather live in chains than face disapproval. They would rather suffocate their true selves than risk rejection. They would rather be loved for who they pretend to be than risk being disliked for who they actually are. But the ones who break free, the ones who find genuine peace and genuine relationships, they made a different choice. Desire recognition. Let's go deeper into why this is so difficult. Adlerian psychology identifies one of humanity's most dangerous addictions, the desire for recognition. From childhood, we are trained to seek approval. Good grades earn praise. Bad behavior brings punishment. We learn that love is conditional, perform correctly, and you'll be accepted. And so we become performers. We shape our personalities to match what gets applause. We hide the parts that get criticism. We become strangers to ourselves in the pursuit of recognition. The desire for recognition is the worst form of spiritual slavery. Here's the devastating truth. Even when you get the recognition, it doesn't satisfy. Because deep down, you know they're not applauding the real you. They're applauding the character you created for their approval. The recognition goes to the mask, and the real you starves in the shadows. You've been feeding the wrong self, but there's another way to live, a way that fills you from the inside out. Contribution. Adler offers a radical alternative to the recognition trap. Instead of asking, "How can I be approved?" ask, "How can I contribute?" Contribute, not perform. The shift is subtle but transformative. When you seek approval, you're focused on yourself. How do I look? How am I perceived? What do they think of me? When you focus on contribution, you're focused on value. What can I give? How can I help? What difference can I make? And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop seeking approval, you become truly valuable, because genuine contribution comes from your authentic self, not from the performer, not from the people pleaser, from the real you who has something unique to offer. The parent who stops trying to be the perfect parent and instead focuses on genuinely helping their child grow. The employee who stops seeking praise and instead focuses on truly solving problems. The friend who stops performing friendship and instead shows up honestly. This is where real connection begins. Living in the present. There's another dimension to this philosophy that most people miss. The courage to be disliked isn't just about relationships. It's about time. Most people live in what Adler calls a linear worldview. They believe their past determines their present, and they're always preparing for a future that never arrives. Life is a series of moments called now. But here's the Adlerian insight. You are using your past as an excuse. You are using the future as a delay. Both are ways to avoid the terrifying responsibility of this present moment. Now, right now, you can separate tasks. Right now, you can stop performing. Right now, you can choose freedom. You don't need to heal your childhood first. You don't need to wait until conditions are perfect. Choose freedom now. The philosophy isn't about becoming a different person someday. It's about making a different choice today. Every moment is a new beginning. Every moment is a chance to separate tasks. Every moment is an opportunity for courage. But this leads us to the most challenging question of all: self-acceptance. Before you can have the courage to be disliked by others, you need something even more fundamental: the courage to accept yourself. Self-acceptance is not about being satisfied with who you are. It's about accepting yourself without conditions, the parts you're proud of, the parts you're ashamed of, the strengths and the flaws, the light and the shadow. Adler makes a crucial distinction between self-esteem and self-acceptance. Self-esteem is based on achievements and comparisons. It rises and falls with external validation. Self-acceptance is unconditional. You accept yourself not because you're better than others, but because you are yourself. Not because you've achieved enough, but because achievement isn't the point. You are not broken. You are not a puzzle to be solved. You are already whole. This is the foundation. When you accept yourself completely, the opinions of others lose their power over you. You no longer need their approval because you've given yourself the only approval that truly matters. And this brings us to what changes everything: community feeling. Now here's where the philosophy becomes complete. You might think this is all about individualism, separating yourself from others, not caring what anyone thinks. But Adler's final piece is unexpected. Community feeling. Connected yet free. When you separate tasks, you don't become isolated. You become capable of genuine connection for the first time. Think about it. When you're constantly performing for approval, you can never truly connect. There's always a wall of performance between you and others. But when you separate tasks, when you accept yourself, when you live by your values, you show up as the real you. And that's when real connection becomes possible. True belonging is being accepted for who you actually are, not for your performance, not for your masks, for you. Adler calls this the feeling of being a member of the human community, not as a performer seeking applause, but as a contributor offering value. 1. Separate your tasks from others. 2. Accept yourself unconditionally. 3. Contribute with your authentic self. 4. Connect through freedom, not need. This is the complete philosophy, and living it transforms everything. Your new life. So where does this leave you? Standing at a threshold. Behind you is a life of performance, approval-seeking, and entanglement. A life where other people's thoughts controlled your choices, where their potential disapproval shaped your entire existence. Ahead of you is something different, a life where you define your tasks and let others own theirs, where you contribute instead of perform, where you connect through authenticity instead of manipulation, where you accept yourself completely and extend that acceptance to others. The world is simple, and life is too. You are the one making it complicated. The fear of being disliked controlled almost every thought, decision, and behavior you had. Now you know the antidote. Your only task is what you do. How others respond is their task, and making the conscious decision to stop putting thought and feeling into someone else's task, that is the doorway to freedom. Your task, your freedom. The philosophy is simple. Living it requires courage. But you now have something most people never find, the map to your own liberation. You came here because a title promised that a Japanese philosophy changed my life. And now, you understand why. This isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. It's about becoming free enough to truly connect. It's about ending the exhausting performance you've been running since childhood. It's about finally separating what is yours from what was never yours to carry. Your task is to live. Their task is to judge. Choose your task. The courage to be disliked isn't cruelty. It's the highest form of self-respect. And ironically, when you stop trying to be liked by everyone, you become genuinely lovable to the people who matter. If you made it this far, comment tasks separated below, prove you're ready to stop living for an audience. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well. If this unlocked something in you, subscribe for more wisdom that transforms.